Hey! All right, this is SFC Fans React Friday. I am back for once because I've been off for a few weeks, but I am back tonight for another edition of Fans React Friday. And also with us tonight, we have Alex and also we have Gary, who will be coming on in about 5 minutes. Johnny couldn't make it due to the weather. He's stuck somewhere waiting for a train, I believe. So, like you see, it's very short notice, but bear with us. I've written a few things down. First of all, in the live chat, Black Cat Podcasts, good evening. In case you're coming, Jude, also, and Steve Cass says, oi, Middleton. So thanks for also, please subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. Remember, it doesn't cost a penny. So please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and that'd be much appreciated. And that wind is picking up. I can hear it outside. It's stay safe, guys, if you're out there. Only go out if it's really necessary because it's going to get really bad tonight. Anyway, Alex, how you feeling, mate? Are you good?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, it's bearing the weather on the way home from work about an hour ago. So yeah, I'm all right. How are you? All right?
Not too bad, mate. Like you say, it's it's thanks for coming on. Obviously, you were on last week, and you've done really well. And now that you're keen to come on as a permanent member, so we'll just see how things pan out. But that's much appreciated. Anyway, the first topic. I mean, it's just been released, I think, about half an hour ago, and it's come at a bad time, really. But the meeting with the Red and White Army and the BLC and the club, obviously the Stuart Donald and Steve Davison. There was the meeting a couple of days ago, and they have released that. And that's come at a bit of a bad time for me because I haven't had time to rumble through it. But if the guys in the live chat, if you have seen some of the topics, maybe you should write in the live chat, and we'll talk about that and we'll see what they've been saying. But there was a couple of things. What I did, I just quickly looked through, but we'll have to sort of speak that on a different time, really. But anyway, Alex, your first opinions on obviously Alex Neil as the coach. He was announced obviously last Friday, very late last Friday. But Alex Neil as a coach, I think it's a good appointment, me personally speaking. I think he'll do it. I think, fingers crossed, I think he can do a really good job. I think his win ratio was good. He's done a really good job at Norwich. What do you think the first thing he has to do as the new head coach? And what do you think is the main thing he has to do to get this team firing in the last 14 games?
I think first and foremost, he needs to breathe some belief back into the squad. I mean, they just look depleted. It's funny what he said after the match against Wimbledon when he mentioned that, he's got an uneven balance between players that have probably played a little bit too much, i.e. the likes of Dan Neil, that are dead on the feet, the words he used were. And then you've got the likes of Jermaine Defoe, Corey Evans, who haven't played enough minutes, whether that be through injury or obviously Defoe's situation up at Rangers.
Yeah.
And I think first and foremost, mate, he's just got to breathe some belief back into that squad, and give them some steel. I just think they look short of confidence, mate. They just need a boost, I think. And he's got it's a tough job, in his hands, I think.
It is. I mean, it is, Alex. It's a tough job, but I firmly believe that the squad we've got now, I think we'll get the right man. I think there's no reason why we can't. I mean, people's writing off the top two, aren't there? People's writing off the top two, and they're saying that's gone now. But look at if we win 12 of the last 14, you never know. You live in hope. You hope that when Justin win tomorrow, that's going to be a tough game tomorrow, which we'll come to further in the show. Obviously, Gary's coming. Gary, are you all right, pal? Thanks for coming on. Obviously, I know you said you were going to be late, but thanks for coming on. I've just said to Alex there. Alex Neil obviously was appointed last Friday. I think it's a good appointment, Gary. But what do you think he must do as the head coach, to get this team firing in the last 14 games?
I think he's probably got to build up their confidence, hasn't he? This whole thing we had about Streaky Johnson and the situation we had in October and then in January is, for whatever reason, there's a real weakness in this squad in terms of mentality. you don't go from battering Sheffield Wednesday 5-0 to losing to Bolton 6-0 in a matter of weeks without there being something amiss. You know, I think some of it's leadership. I think some of it's mentality. I did believe that maybe Johnson was telling them to go out and express themselves and keep possession and try and do the right things. But I think what he maybe failed to do was instill a bit more of a winning mentality into them.
Yeah.
Particularly when it comes to things like game management. You know, those last-minute goals against Accrington and Wickham.
Yeah.
You know, professionals should know how to see a game out. You know, would have been 4 points better off if it wasn't for that. So I think Neil comes across as a very pragmatic man. I think he'll focus on getting the simple things right. I think he'll concentrate on set pieces. Certainly our defending at set pieces. He'll probably got some things in terms of setting us up. I hope he strengthens the midfield. He seemed to play with 3 in midfield against Wimbledon. I think that probably shows that he's got that kind of mindset that we need to control the game a bit more in the central areas. I think he's just got to make it. I get the impression with Neil, he's very much his own man. And I think that's the thing he needs to pass on to the squad. Forget what's gone before. Forget whatever fighting is going on in the background, frustration, people leaving, people coming. It's a massive cliche, this, but it starts again from tomorrow, doesn't it? New start to the season. We've still got it all to play for. We haven't given up yet. And I think he'll try and put his imprint on the squad in the last 14 games. If that means the playoffs, let's go into playoffs on the back of a decent end to the season. Feeling as though we've got a bit of confidence and a bit of steel in the squad. And I don't, mean that in terms of, of hard men. I mean, in terms of steel up here, a mentality that says we're going to get over the line. Not easy with younger players, but I think that's what he's got to do. He's got to get into the mind that they're professionals and it's about getting results. Yeah,
well, like you say, football is a results business, and I think you need to find the balance between, playing good football, but also knowing when to see games out, as you said earlier, and also when to be tough and switch on and see games, see games out. I mean, as you said, they were out in the Stanley game and they were down to 10 men. Last 15 minutes, you've got to be seeing these games out. I think it was Shrewsbury a few games prior, where again they were down to 10 men and we couldn't see the game out. You've got to be doing more to win the match. Do you know what I mean? And I think, yes, you can look at the players and say, well, that falls down to them as well. They should be, but the manager's instructions, what's he telling them players to do? When you're a man up, you should be, it's about switching on.
Do you know what worries me, Sean, about footballers generally, and I'm being pretty rude about them here, is that footballers want to play football. They've still got that instinct in them to go chase a ball, get on the ball, shoot from long range. They all want to be superstars. It's probably why they've gone into the profession they have. I'm not saying they're untalented.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to get across is sometimes they'll fall back on their instincts. Yeah. And their instincts are not always the right thing to do. I've seen players even fairly recently say, "Oh, when the manager starts, I just don't listen to him. I just switch off."
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of them do. They revert to what has made them successful so far in their career. The other side to that is sometimes footballers are a bit thick. I don't mean that nastily. I mean, it's sometimes they lack a bit of common sense. They do some stupid things. Why have you given the ball away? Why have you done that? I think they've got the coach in their head. They've maybe got supporters in their head. They've got something else going on. And they sometimes just make bad decisions. And I think often that's the difference between a top-class player and a mediocre player doing the right things at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly think your top managers, they look for players who know when to play and when to kind of switch roles a little bit and get a different mentality. I'll throw in a cliche here, Sean, and before I throw it back to you, I once heard I saw a football coaching session done with an academy team, and something the coach said to them, and it stayed with me. He asked them a question. He says to them, "What's the most important space on a football pitch?" and there was 2 or 3 different answers came up. And he says, no, you're all wrong. The most important space when you're playing football is this, the bit between your ears.
Yeah.
And they were all young lads, and they kind of like, you could see them having to think about it. But I believe that's true. A lot of it's played up here. Sorry, go on.
I was just about to say, Alex, I mean, the squad now, we'll talk about how we went live, but I think this is the best squad we've had since we've dropped into this division. I mean, you could argue the case the first season when we had Cattermole and we had some over here we had some ex-Premier League experienced players in there. You had Madger as well. It was quality, wasn't he? I mean, do you think the squad, looking at it, do you think it's the best squad we've got now, and do you think it's good enough? We should be underachieving slightly.
Well, I would say I think the quality of the players that we've got it's there to see. I mean, we've seen it this season how good they can be. But I think, like Gary says, that just reinforces the mentality. I think a lot of these lads are playing the first year in men's senior football, and I think it's tired legs, mate. I mean, the quality is there, 100%. I mean, you've got 2 players. I know Dejak, who went to Union Berlin, but you've got 2 players that came through at Bayern Munich. A lad from Tottenham's academy, a lad on loan from Man City's academy. We've got Jermaine Defoe up there. Well, when he's fully fit, we all know what he can do. The quality is there. The squad doesn't lack quality at all. What it lacks is a strong mentality and some confidence. And again, I would echo what Gary says. I think Lee Johnson was very much. We all know what he was like with his lingo and his philosophies and his pomos and his bombing alleys. Whereas I think Alex Neil, I think he's very, pardon the pun, but black and white. White. But I think it's very, very much to the point where, like, his press conference today was just refreshing. I watched it today. It was just very, very black and white. But to answer your question, the quality's there in the squad, mate. It just needs some confidence and some steel behind it, as Gary says, upstairs and mentally.
Yeah, like you say, I think Johnson, he just went on a bit too much. I think when he spoke about the game, and I interviewed a guy in the town, and I think he's saying the same thing when they interview him, and he says, "We the hell's these millions?" But nobody, like straight away, Alex Neil, he does his first interview, and he addresses the strengths and the weaknesses. He puts, like, as you see, a black and white straight there, not waffling on. He just says it how it is, and that's it is nice to hear someone just get it straight to the point and just move on. But I think Alex Neil, I'll go back to Alex Neil, I think it's a good appointment. I mean, he's on an agreement that it's a better appointment than obviously Lee Johnson, Phil Parkinson, and Jack Ross.
Well, of course. I mean, now that we've had it, the dust has settled, if you like, a big trait of a football fan, whether we want to admit it or not, as football fans, we're all fickle. Our opinions change weekly. And I was very much an advocate for Roy Keane. I wanted him back, but now I realise it was based on pure nostalgia. When you look at the setup of the club and the model that we moved forward with, yes, it's Louis Dreyfus's first year as chairman and I was going to say owner then, but we're not so sure, are we? But it's his first year at the club. We've got Speakman, we've got a sporting director. We've gone for this model. Roy Keane wouldn't have fit that model, mate. I mean, you look at when he was here.
Good point. When
he was here, as soon as, rightly or wrongly, Ellis Short gave barking orders, he didn't like it and he left. Whether we like it, whether we think he was done wrong or not, he spat his dummy and left. That's the benefit of it.
He has, and he's got it. You know what, Alex, you're not on the head. That he's got it. Roy Keane's got this where he can spit the dummy out. Yeah. And look, I was all for bringing him back. I thought he could have been perfect, but you look at it and you think when something doesn't go his way, he throws the toys at the pram. He's done it. Yeah. I was speaking to my uncle and one of my best friends about this, and they were saying the exact same things. And he also said, "What's Roy Keane sort of done?" He didn't get don't get us wrong. He done well at Sunderland. I mean, we were second from bottom when he took over. He had a window and he brought a lot of players in, and he did do well that first season, didn't he? Let's be honest. He got a winning mentality and he got the best out of the players. But in the Premiership, obviously, was it all just went a bit sour, didn't it? But I think that's the thing with Roy Keane. He comes in and that can happen, and he has got that in his locker. So now the dust has settled, you look at it and you think, have we dodged a bullet there in a sense, Gary? You think we might have dodged a bullet, or do you think Roy Keane would have been perfect for us?
I think, like Alex was saying, we are fickle. To a degree, we have to be, don't we? As soon as Roy Keane's not coming, we've got about 24 hours to get our heads around it, and then the new manager's announced, and none of us want to be unfair to the guy. Want to give him a chance. Mm-hmm. It's not his fault. Keane was linked to the job, and for whatever reason, it fell through. So we've got to move on. I've had people say to me, "Oh, you were all Roy Keane last week." Well, yeah, I was, but it's not an option anymore, is it? So we can wish all we want. I was never convinced that Keane was the right man at this time. But once, it's like with Sunderland. Once things start, like with Defoe 2 weeks before. Once the momentum's going, the fans are talking about it. It takes on a life of its own, doesn't it? So at that point, to me, there was nobody else. We had to get him in because we had to. We told the fans, more or less, told the fans he was coming. Mm-hmm. So I was absolutely gutted when it didn't happen, because again, it just felt like another missed opportunity where we're building things up and then not, like getting 38,000 in against Doncaster and then not showing up. We've all seen that so many times. It feels like a kick in the teeth. In retrospect, I've got to be honest, I didn't know who would come in. I thought it might be somebody, maybe he's a foreign coach, as Alex was saying, somebody who would fit more into the under the sporting director philosophy. We've done this before where we've gone in terms of management. We've shifted very quickly from one extreme to the other. Like Martin O'Neill to Di Canio, who went from one extreme to the other. Peter Reid to Howard Wilkinson, real shifts. We've gone from Johnson, who's got all this, who's got all the bullshit and the bravado, and we've gone to Alex Neil, who's a Scotsman who kind of says it as it is. Like you said, it's black or it's white. No messing around. One of his quotes he said earlier today, he says, "There's no point talking about long term if you don't sort the short term out. Without the short term, there's no." And the fans are going, "Yeah, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear about the here and now." So we've gone from a bloke who says it like it is, and I think that will get people on board. So in that regard, I'm bought in. Big job for him though.
Massive job. I mean, just my only sort of, thinking back at it, Johnson was sacked the day after the 6-0 defeat at Bolton. I mean, my only sort of, they've coming out and saying they've I think me and Alex were touching on it before we started. I think they said that they interviewed, was it 12, Alex, or was it 8?
Spoke to 12 initially and formally interviewed 8, mate. Yeah,
because that was on the red and white, the Red and White Army and the BLC, the meeting what they had. It was looking through it. That's what I'm saying. It's come at a bad time. I wanted that to happen earlier on today. I could have read through it all, addressed all the main key points. And thinking about now, it's happened just about half an hour or say an hour before we started having that time to sort of look through it. But do you thinking back at it? Do you think Lee Johnson was sacked on the Sunday? I think 6-7 o'clock. It took us like nearly 2 weeks to appoint a new head coach. If you're going to sack somebody and you're going to give them, you think it should have been a case of they should have had somebody lined up. They should have been doing this, or do you think that was wrong? Maybe he's looking at other managers when he was still the boss.
Let me chip in if I can, Sean. Speakman, when he was on the podcast, basically said something along the lines of it would be disrespectful to have been looking for other people when Johnson was in charge. I absolutely agree with that. In terms of respect for the man doing the job, I think that would have been bad. And if it gets out, it looks horrific. So I'm completely with him. Where I think he failed us is it's been said before that you've always got in mind your recruitment in terms of people coming in and people who fit roles. Yeah. He said that the head coach was part of that. So he always would have names in mind. So to go from that to taking 10, 12 days is ridiculous. And to me, there's only one thing. There's only one thing to put that down to, and that's there's something going on in the background. There's something amiss for me, whether it was to do with Speakman and Dreyfus, or whether it was to do with Methven, if he was doing the interviewing, as is rumoured. That how much it's to do with Keane trying to get clarity on the ownership and who his boss would actually be. Little things like that. Something was amiss. It shouldn't have taken that long. And it can only have taken that long if there was problems with the decision makers. That's what I think.
Alex, I'm going to get your view on it in a minute, mate. I'm just going to go to the live chat just to keep people involved. Yeah. It's 2 seconds, pal. 2 minutes. I'm just going to read some of the comments out. And I'll do it on my phone because 2 seconds. Right. Paul Lead says we need another keeper, emergency loan. Burge is rubbish, Hoffman's rubbish, and Patterson rubbish. Straight to the point, fair point.
You sure that's not Alex Neil?
There's no quiz tonight. Just I think somebody put that. Is the game not called off? Says James SCSA. Well, let's see what happens tonight with this storm. Hopefully, fingers crossed it doesn't. With more important, let's hope everybody's safe after tonight because it's going to be really bad. 130-mile-an-hour winds, apparently. DJ Sizzler Watson, Dave Watson, who I'll go to the matches with. Lads, at the start of the season, I thought this season we have players can step in case of injuries. It's the best we need. We need a leader on the pitch still. Thanks for the comments. AJG, 12 coaches interviewed, 8 got second interviews. Roy Keane didn't get a second interview. So obviously these guys have been reading through the Red and White Army thing. I'll obviously read it later on once we've done the show. Unfortunately, it's come at a bad time, but I can't really do anything about that. That's about it. The Kish Coming says good evening. Alyssa Rowell is in there. Alyssa, if you want to come on, Alyssa, let us know and I'll send you the link. As Alyssa speaks very well. But Alex. Just touching on what we were talking about there. It took us 2 weeks to get a new head coach. 16 games left, and you're thinking we need to win most of them. Do you think we're through 2 games away by doing that?
Yeah, well, I mean, first and foremost, I think I've got to be careful what I say because you know who I know, Sean.
Yeah.
And I think. The bread and butter of it is, in my opinion, I think Kirill Louis-Dreyfus tried to get it so right that he got it wrong. I think he took too long, well, not just him, the ownership group took too long to identify who was going to come in. Mm-hmm. And I think it was reported that Alex Neil was spoken to 48 hours after the Bolton game.
Yeah.
And as we know, Roy Keane's come out on what was it called, the Overlap Live, and he said that the contract wasn't right. So Roy Keane turned it down. Whatever he was offered, if he was even offered it, didn't want the job.
Yeah,
and he hasn't had a second interview, so it must have become apparent quite clear, and quite quickly that Roy Keane wasn't going to be the man. I think in an ideal world, Roy Keane wouldn't have even been in the running, in my view. I wish it wasn't because it got sort of us all bought into Roy Keane coming back and the nostalgia of it. And the club has done so much damage to itself in the last fortnight, 2 weeks and a half, that, the aim of sacking Lee Johnson was to kind of preserve where we were on the cusp of automatic promotion. And because how we've gone about the recruitment process for a new head coach, ironically, we've shafted it ourselves.
Yeah. Putting a blank, we have. I mean, like you see, it's just the last 2 matches, Dodds and Proctor have been in charge. And to be fair, let's be honest, I think I could have done a better job than them than them 2 people. But for me, when Johnson was sacked, I thought it was the right call. I know there's a couple of people, there's a lot of Sunderland fans who will say it wasn't the right call, but I just think when you're getting beat 6-0 and 5-1, yes, for them's a good side 5-1, but 4-0, people being the rain down Portsmouth, but it's just excuses for me. We weren't just getting beat, we were getting really badly turned over, and you've got to think what kind of effect that's going to have on some of the young guys as well. Getting beat like that's going to have effect on them, and it'll stay there. And I think I seen this last season. I know I didn't get stuffed like massive defeats last season with Lee Johnson, but back in the last season, I seen that it was eight games to go, and we just faltered, didn't we? It was in our hands. We had Charlton in that game, and yes, Charlton were in good form, and Nigel Atkins have been playing well, but we just went downhill from then. It's just, I was disappointed that we've taken so long. For me, I would have gotten rid of Lee Johnson end of last season. I would have started afresh. That was my view. I did see this a lot, and Gary smirking there. I did see this a lot, didn't I? And I think we've just wasted. People say, "Oh well, we were top and we're doing well now," but I knew that. I just knew this would happen. And for me, it wasn't a strong enough character. It looked like we played some good stuff at times, but it's all right playing good football. You've got to have this. You've got this balance I said earlier on where you know when you play good stuff, and then you know when to defend and see games out. You know what I mean? It's all right playing good stuff, but you've got a bit of defending. What he was saying on that training pitch to the players, set pieces, you're marking in counter attacks. Lee Johnson, he does all the training from Monday to Friday, and what he was saying what he was doing wasn't working. End of the day, and for me, I think even giving him a chance for this season, I think we should have maybe sacked them a few games prior to what we did. Do you know what I mean? Well, look, that is what it is.
Can I ask you a question then, Sean? In parallel sight, if Alex Neil fails to get us promoted this season, what would you do in the summer?
See, it's with that one, it's a case of I think he's come in. He's got 14. Was it 15 games?
Yeah, 15
games, and I think any manager, I think. You've got to look at it and see Alex Neil, regardless, even if we don't go up this season, we're going to be hurt, but you've got to give him the summer, and then you've got to give him next season. So he's got a bit of a free pass, really, in a sense. But Lee Johnson come in, and I think he had that season, he had a window.
He did.
He done well when he first come in, to be fair, but then he just started to hit that bad form. We went to the playoffs against Lincoln. We weren't playing very well, and I think everybody could see what was going to happen. But to be fair, we got beat down there, Lincoln. We turned it around in the first half. We scored 2 goals. We're playing really well. The fans got right behind the team that day, but in the second half, we'd come out and you're seeing what happened. Just same old, wasn't it? But for me, I think going back to the Lee Johnson thing, I think we should have had somebody lined up quicker than that. For me, personally speaking, that's just my personal view on it. But anyway, I'm just going to go to Steve Cass is a friend of mine. He's got a charity football match on the 13th of March. I think it's getting played. He told us this last Sunday, but my memory's terrible. I think it's getting played at Silksworth. So Steve's watching. He'll have to tell us where it's getting played. But I think it is 2. I think it's a 2 o'clock kickoff. So obviously come down and support the guys, and it'll be nice to see. People come down and watch the game. It's obviously us against Hermes. It's Steve Cass's dad's team, so it's who we're playing. But 13th of March, come down and support the guys if you wouldn't mind. It should be a good day. Hopefully the weather is a lot better than what it has been today. Anyway, moving on. Eddie Obama said a few biggest fans via Friday and some SFC minutes to read. Yeah. All right. Adam French, Sean, you should have got the job in Acacia as his assistant and Joanne as the bar manager and Dave the Rave as the DJ. That would have been a combination, wouldn't it? Obviously, earlier on in the week, it was reported and confirmed, obviously, by the club as well, that the share situation, that's going to cause a bit of a stir, this. But I was of the opinion, I think everybody was of the opinion, that when KLD, when Kirill Louis-Dreyfus, when he first come in, he was at least acquiring 50% of the shares. And obviously come out by the Athletic, the good journalism by the Athletic. I'm forgetting the guys' names, but I did do a live show on this. But it has come out that Kirill Louis-Dreyfus has got 41% of the shares. Donald's got 34, Sartori's got 20, and Methven has got 5. But the bigger picture in this is that the Madrocks combined have got 59%. Yeah. So they've got 59%, and KLD's got 41%. That's the be all and end, the bigger picture of it. Alex, when it first come out, what was your first opinions on this?
Lying B word. But I think as well, Sean, when you look at the share breakdown, it's funny because the Madrock shares, as you say, 59%. But then when you look at it from another perspective, was that you remember when Louis Dreyfus came in, Juan Sartori also stepped down from the board.
Yeah.
Actually, and was reappointed to the board as part of Louis Dreyfus's own board. And the Sartori family and the Louis Dreyfus family are friends. I believe it was Juan Sartori that introduced Kirill Louis Dreyfus to Sunderland.
Yeah.
And I think the vehicle at the start was always that Juan Sartori would perhaps increase his shareholding, and it would be him and KLD that would go forward with the club. For whatever reason, that didn't happen. And it's disappointing to know that the final figure that KLD has got is just the 41%. There's a few more variables that go into that would make up the majority shareholder. I mean, that term is a bit misleading, and that's the one that he came out with, which I think has done the fans wrong. Right. But in a sense, he could hold his hands up and go, well, I wasn't lying, because he does have the highest individual stake, but that doesn't make him the majority shareholder. If you're going off the numbers, then it's Madrox, isn't it? But I think there's different variables that can go into it. For example, voting shares, you can have less than 51%, but it included in that amount of shares, if he has X amount of voting shares, then the other three don't really have a say. But whether that's the true or not, and like Alex Neil said in his press conferences, there's got to be some information that us as fans just can't be privy to because it's business. And, some of the things have to be kept behind wraps, but they haven't been transparent enough for me, no.
Yeah. That's good points there, Alex, very good points. I mean, when it first come out, I was quite shocked. But obviously, like I said, the Athletic, they reported it, and I think Kirill Louis Dreyfus, he had to sort of come clean because the meeting was the next day, and he wasn't present at the meeting because he was. I think he's actually on holiday at the moment. Well, I see on holidays and at the business meeting at the moment, so he wasn't present at the Red and White Army meeting. But I think it was just another kick in the teeth for the supporters. I mean, when you think it's a new start, a new beginning. And he come out and he read that statement, didn't he? He'd done a statement for the fans and everything. It's a little bit hurtful, but I mean, for me, what he could do now is to redeem himself. He could come out and see what I think he's going to meet with the fans next week. I believe he could come out and say, "Look, yes, I put my hands up. I should have been more specific in what I said, but the intentions is to buy full shares of the club." I think that is the intention. I think I read that in the Red and White Army, what they were talking about. So if he comes out and says that's his main aim is to buy out Sartori, Meffin, and Donald, buy them out, then I think you could sort of see it. Well, that's fair enough. But Gary, what's your views on the split percentages of the club being released?
Well, like everybody else, I thought that from what had been said about the running of the club and the way it was announced, KLD must have had at least 51%.
Yeah.
I can't remember what term was used. It wasn't majority, was it? It was something else.
Yeah.
Enough that would have us all believing he was ultimately the top man. He was in charge. I think we all realised Methven and Donald still had some kind of stake in the club, but they were stepping back. He was taking the lead, and ultimately he had control of the club. And I think this is what it comes down to, who actually controls things.
Yeah.
As Alex was saying, if you add up the Madrox side of things, then he doesn't have control of the club. Sartori probably is a bit of a deal maker here, isn't he? It seems to depend on who he's backing, and he doesn't say a lot, so we've not really a clue as to where his loyalties are. Look, you can't take the piss. You definitely can't take the piss with people from the northeast, because as soon as they get an idea, and I mean that genuinely, and I say that for somebody who no longer lives in the northeast, but sort of like sees, you get an impression for how people react. Look, when Donald and Methven came in, you've got people changing seats. The fans, they kept coming. The attendances were still great. The atmosphere was good. There was that Boxing Day thing with Bradford, 46,000.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever else might have been said in the background, they came in, they offered a fresh start, they got the fans behind the team, and the fans backed them, didn't they? There's no question about it. They did what they were asked to do, the fans. Now, if as has been rumoured, they've gone back and words have been said, and I don't know all the details, so I'm not going to speculate too much, that actually the fans are toxic or they don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what? It shows a complete lack of respect for people in the northeast who are incredibly loyal.
Yeah.
But if you take the piss, or if you question their loyalty, and their nous as well, then you're going to get bitten on your ass. And I'm afraid, however it happened, and we're talking about somebody here who's supposed to be a PR expert, however it happened, it went from hero to zero almost overnight, and it became toxic. Now, I actually don't believe Donald is a bad man. I think he's actually a genuine man who might just be out of his depth in certain aspects of this type of business. However we got to it, they got to the stage where he said, look, if you don't want me, I'll go. I will know when the time is to go. Yeah. That's 2 years ago. And I know we've had COVID, and I know there was protracted negotiations with KLD and possibly others. I know it's not a simple thing to do, but there comes a part, lads, at which you just need to learn to shut up and move on. And all too often, whether it's Methven turning up at games or supposedly involved in interviews, whatever it might be, as soon as they come back on the scene, there's going to be turmoil in the club, and it's been proved before. And my best plea to them is if you want to keep your share and you want the club to be successful, so you get your money back and some, which is what we think they're after. They're investors at the end of the day. The best thing they can do is let somebody else get on with the job of leading. I'm talking about leadership here, because they weren't capable of doing it, and the reason they weren't capable of doing it is they couldn't retain the honesty. The podcast, they talked a great job, but when it actually came down to it and people scratched the surface, and we've got some very clever fans, by the way, who really do know business far better than I do, they were made to look like a couple of sharp guys. And I think they've lost that trust. They need to back off. If KLD can take the maximum shareholding, majority shareholding, he needs to do it, and we need to just move on as a club. KLD's only a young man. He will have learned a lot from this. I hope he has, because I don't think he's completely lost the fans, but he won't get away with this twice.
Alex, what do you think KLD has got to do now to get the fans back on his side? I mean, they'll probably be a little bit hurt by him being obviously not so honest when he could have been in the start. What can he do now to redeem himself?
I think that, he's made the first step, hasn't he? I think by offering and agreeing to meet the fans, the fans group, with no Steve Davison, no Christian Speakman, just him with the group. Yeah, they can just be transparent. I think that's the time to sort of air the laundry, if you like. Yeah. I just think it's interpretation. I think it was odd because he released that statement and said, the opening letter when he came last year, he said, I need to be honest with you from the start. He called them asset strippers, didn't he? Yeah. And I think, you can't, and I think this, again, not to be ageist, but I think from a young businessman like himself, I think, he's the same age as me. And I think he is going to make mistakes. And perhaps him sitting with Charlie Methven at games, maybe he's just reading the room wrong, mate. You got to remember he's from the outside looking in. He maybe does. He's 24, but he doesn't sit on Twitter. I doubt, scrolling through what fans' opinions are of Charlie Methven. But again, going to Charlie Methven, going to games, I think, personally, I don't like it, but I think you can't be discriminatory. I mean, if he wants to go and watch a football match, he's got every right to go and watch a football match, hasn't he?
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
I just think, obviously, the things he said. Like,
yeah, I know. I completely agree. I completely agree. I mean, if I seen him, if I seen him at a football ground, I think I'd have to bite my tongue, especially after a couple of pints. But
I'd give him a piece of my mind if I'd seen him. I would definitely give him a piece of my mind, like 100%.
I don't like the bloke. I mean, I said on Twitter the other day, it shows a lot about his character, that he's happy to show his face at away games, but he wouldn't dare show his face on Wearside, mate.
No, he wouldn't. Like, he definitely wouldn't. And I think, look at the things he said. You can't go back from the things he said. I mean, that interview when he was saying that the Southern fans, they're the problem. They've hounded owners out. They've hounded managers out. Yeah, but this is the guy who come in. We changed the seats for him. We we said that the CFW club, all the debt was paid by Ellis Short. Ellis Short wiped out 188 million worth of debt. Yes, it was his debt, and he made the wrong decisions. But they had a clean slate. That to bring a few costs down. Let's be honest. But any businessman could have done that. Do you know what I mean, Alex? And at the same time, just the things he said, and just because it didn't work out for them, because what they wanted to do, they wanted to come in, bring the costs down. And get promoted that first season, they would have been. Then they were that close to doing it. They were that close to getting, to pulling it off.
Yeah, I think this is the thing, that they very much banked on us getting promoted that first season, and we were seen in a documentary when he chucked all that money at Grigg, complete panic station. I mean, I do defend him a little bit over Josh Madger. I think Josh Madger's agent sort of played poker there a little bit. He didn't want to stay at Sunderland.
Yeah.
So the hands were tied with that one, I think, especially with him being out of contract in the 6 months' time.
Do you think, thinking back though, Alex, do you think with the Madger, do you think maybe we could have just thought, you know what, stuff it? I know I've let players go for free in the past, but it's a gamble worth taking. Let Madger leave in the summer, and we'll keep him. It would have fired us to promotion money. I think. Look, in hindsight, you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think it was even discussed at the time with that deal, mate, that there was perhaps something rumbling that he could maybe go to Bordeaux and come back to us for the remainder of the season, and it didn't happen. They chucked money at Will Grigg, too much money. I speak to his brother Dan on Twitter quite often, and he's a lovely bloke. His brother, he said, "Take it as you will." He said that Will was up for the move, and it was a one that he thought was very important initially.
Yeah.
And the price tag that was mentioned, it wasn't anywhere near it. What was rumored in the press, I think it was 1.25. They ended up paying in the end.
Yeah.
But I think they very much banked on getting us up that first season. It didn't happen. They put the club up for sale almost immediately. They tried to sell us to Mark Campbell, who got charged for being some sort of sex pest.
Yeah,
and then
that's a point. That's an excellent point. They were willing to sell to Mark Campbell, who's if you've read about him, I think they're willing to sell to anybody.
Yeah, basically. And then obviously the blue. I'm not going to go into it too much, but obviously the blue, the Dell
brothers, FFP. What they call it?
FPP, wasn't
it? FPP, yeah. I mean, that was exactly. They wanted to buy the club apparently, but as Donald and Methven and so they want their slice of the cake. They want their big payday. They were like, no, we'll keep some shares, and they went, no, it doesn't matter. And they wanted to buy out the club in Wright allegedly, but I don't know. There's a lot of different rumors about that, saying that they want to just invest in there as well. But
I think as well, mate. Not to waffle on, but I think there's more to that statement that was released from the Athletic. What Louis Dreyfus says, releasing them shares. I think if you look at it right, lads, I think if you look at that statement coming out, I think you've got to really analyse why has it came out now? Why? And I think it's been asked in the past, and there's been talk of NDAs, and whatnot. After seeing the figures, I'm not surprised it was under non-disclosure. But I think there's more to it, and I think Louis Dreyfus has been very smart on his chessboard, and I think he's cranking up the heat and cranking up the pressure on Madrox, because I think his initial plan and his current plan is to get them out. I think he wants to own the club, and I think he's released them figures and that statement to crank it up. It only applies pressure on Donald and Methven. And Donald, like you said, Sean, I think it was Monday night when you were on, was it? Tuesday night, maybe. And
Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, yeah.
I was watching and you were saying, you know, when they came in, Donald and Methven, you instantly thought there was something amiss.
Yeah.
And there was. Where's the two Spanish guys that they said were coming? That's why they're called Madrox, because it was Madrid, Oxford consortium. Where are they?
Yeah.
They didn't come from anywhere.
Yeah.
I think they were full of it. I think there were two insurance brokers that came from Eastleigh and didn't know the extent and the size of Sunderland Football Club, and they underestimated it. And I think they've seen it as a business opportunity that could flip like a pancake within 12 months, and it didn't work out for them.
Well, see, Methven, he just seen the greed, and he obviously, him and Donald together, they've seen it and went, well, look, if we can negotiate Ellis Short to wipe the debt, they've got 2 parachute payments left. You know, we've got 2, so we bring the costs right down. I mean, we all know they've wrote 20 million off within the club, but what they weren't expecting was overheads like the Ricky Alvarez case. That's rumbled on. That's cost them money. Do you know how much they didn't want and they didn't think was going to happen? So you know, in a sense, that's come back and bit them a little bit. So, but looking back at it, and you know, is Ellis Short? I mean, I'll bring in Gary Ellis Short. He sold them the club. I've always stuck up for Ellis Short, but ultimately it was his fault. We dropped into League One. He didn't invest in the Championship. He employed Simon Grayson. He employed Chris Coleman. He didn't invest in the team in that year. So you look at it, is Ellis Short a lot to blame as well? I'm looking and saying, well, these guys have kept us down here, but ultimately, you know, he sold the club as well to these guys. He should have, when he's wiping 190 million off, he should at least look into who the guys is coming in. And
you know what? I'll jump in, Sean. We can speculate on Madrox. We can speculate on Donald and Methven. At best, I would say there were a couple of football supporters who'd had some success in business, maybe a bit of success at Eastleigh, and thought, we quite fancy this. We can't go wrong here because tomorrow's giving this club away. Look at the size of the club. This is the biggest thing we'll ever be involved in. Where's the downside? I think they thought it was too good to be true. I think, and you know, I totally acknowledge what Alex says about them being full of it. But you know what? Business, in my experience, a lot of people in business are full of it. And it carries them a long way, by the way. And that bravado and that talking a good job, it does count in some situations, particularly negotiations and selling. I don't feel quite as much hostility to those two. I think they're out of the depth probably more than anything. And certainly Methven has apparently said some things which are, you know, pretty stupid. But I will all day long lay the blame for Sunderland's demise at the door of Ellis Short. No doubt about it. I said when he came in, you know, if we're his plaything, it's all very well him stood there with FTM badges on and celebrating derby wins and whatever. Mm-hmm. But he made his money in gambling, basically, in bonds and securities. Yeah. That's how he'd been a gambler and who made good, earned a heck of a lot of money. He wanted to invest. Where did he meet Quinny? Cheltenham Racers. He was a speculator. Quinny persuaded him to put money into the club.
That's right.
What I'm saying is, my worry was if we were his plaything, and if he got bored of us, then he could just let us drop, and that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. Because he was upset about Allardyce going. He wanted Moyes coming in. Moyes clearly wanted to invest in the playing squad. He didn't back Moyes, who was his man. Moyes was a disaster for me. And I think somewhere through that season, Short decided, I'm not changing the manager. I'm not investing anymore in the squad. I'm just going to stand back, let Martin Bain take over, control the costs, and see what happens. And I think he stood back and he watched us plummet 2 leagues. And I totally blame him. Totally blame Short. He screwed himself out of that 180 million or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Just stupidity.
Do you think he threw Martin Bain under the bus a little bit by just, leaving him in control? And,
I think, how did we get Dick Advocat coming back? There was supposedly a promise of investment.
Yeah, and there was.
It never happened, did it?
And
it must have been.
He came back of the opinion that he was getting a big transfer package, and I think he had to go Short straight away because he said you got other teams spending 20-30 million, and when you're getting loans like MV was a loan from Ruben Kazan, that was a year loan, wasn't it? I think. Yeah. Who's the other guy who bought the Dutch guy? I forget.
Oh, did he not spend? He spent the best part of 60-70 million on Lenz and Barini.
Well, Barini was 9 million. I think Lenz was I think again 9. So that was 2 players was about 20 million, but the rest was free transfers, loans, and things like that, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So
look, he bankrolled us for a long while, but he was having to bankroll us because he didn't have an infrastructure in the club to develop footballers.
Yeah,
I think, wasn't it confirmed that over something like a 7-year period, maybe he's only 1 or 2 players had left for more money than we paid for them. Mm-hmm. There was a vast number where we paid good money and then given them away for almost nothing.
Ellis
can't go like that.
Ellis Short, for me, he had the money. He just didn't have that person with a football. He didn't have the football brain. I mean, I think when Niall Quinn, when he was there, he was that, and then obviously when he departed, I think that's when it was a sort of the downward spiral, wasn't it? When Quinn left, he just appointed the wrong people at the wrong times. But going back to what was said, I've stuck with Ellis Short as much as I could, but ultimately, in this division because of his wrong decisions. That's the top.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll just go back to the live chat and I'll go on to the next topics. We're kicking on now, but I think Sam Hummel says something. Sean Middleton is a legend. Love from Devon.
Somebody's been on the air already.
Alan Thompson says, seriously, lads, would you accept our former owner Mike Ashley if he bought you? I'll come to. I'll tell you what I'll ask you guys. Would you accept Mike Ashley as your owner? Alex, I'll ask you first, and I'll come to Gary.
You could have it.
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
No, I don't think with Louis Dreyfus here, no. I think he's in it for the long term. But I think if you took that away and we needed an owner, I would. He knows how to run a business. Newcastle fans weren't happy with him because Newcastle fans think that there's some Champions League shithouse team that should be playing at the Nou Camp every season.
Yeah. They live in the 90s, don't they? That 90s.
They do. But, I mean, even in the 90s, they didn't win now. But,
it's because Sergio Noel spent that money and they finished second a couple of times. They think they live in that moment. They think that everybody, I mean, we were the best team in the 20s, 30s. We were the Bank of England team. But, that's football. You go through times in your period of history and we all went with the good times back, but, you've got to be sensitive about it.
He made some daft decisions at Newcastle, but we don't care about them, do we? But if he came in, I mean, I think look where Newcastle were finishing up until the end. They were getting mid-table finishes. They had a season in 5th. They had Europa League for a season. Would you settle for that? Where we are now, 5th in the Premier League.
Oh, definitely. I would. They hounded him. I mean, the manager. They weren't happy with him, Pardew, were they?
No.
Why were they happy? Because I don't know what it is with them. I kind of.
Go on.
No, go on.
I'm just saying. I know. I'm just nipping back since we're on the topic of owners. I just having a quick gander, and when as you said, Gary, Moyes was Short's man, and you might know better than me. I'm sure there was another occasion. Was it before Steve Bruce? I can't remember, but Moyes was at Everton and they were doing really well when Everton used to finish on the cusp, sort of like 6th, 7th. And Shaw asked him, would he be interested? And he said no. So he did want him for quite a while.
Yeah.
And that Moyes' summer, he brought in Didier Ndong, which is reported to be 18 million. Gilabodji, which was 8.5.
Oh, God, Jesus.
Paddy McNair was the best part of 5 million. And then it said the double deal for Oviedo and Gibson was 5 million. They brought in that Mika, who never played for us once.
Donald Love.
Donald Love and Stephen Pienaar.
Oh, God.
Yanazar came in, Manquillo came in, Jason Denet came in. And then the players that went out, we sold Van Aanholt to Palace for just under 10 million. Quartes went to Lisbon for just under 5. Kabul went to Watford. So he kind of broke even that summer, if you think of it, with the ins and outs. But I think he got to a point. He backed O'Neill as well. I think he bought in. He got Johnson. He got Stephen Fletcher. That was what to get 20 million together.
Yeah,
just 20
million, I think.
25 for the two of them, wasn't it?
Yeah,
50 and 10, I think.
And I think Ellis Shaw. I think I'm going to disagree with Gary slightly. I think he funded the club well enough. I think he didn't employ enough football people or the right football people to sort of run it for him.
Yeah,
I mean, he had Margaret Byrne as one of the whatever she was, one of the executives, and we all know she played you know who for 12 months when we all knew it was guilty. So I think he just employed the wrong people. But to answer your question, Sean, given where we are in League One, I would have Mike Ashley 100%. Yeah. He's a business. He knows how to run a business.
Gary, Mike Ashley. If KLD was obviously shit, and he said straight away.
I wouldn't have it. I just think some things go beyond. Look, if we're bankrupt and you're desperate and you think your club's going, if you're Derby County at this moment in time, and Mike Ashley comes in, you're in no position to negotiate, are you? You take Mike Ashley because it means keeping your club alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Until we're at that stage, I wouldn't entertain the man because I don't like him. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And I just think it would cause problems because I don't think the fans would like him. Look, it's our football club. It's the fans' football club. And I think you've got to buy into the people who are running it. And that's Donald and Methven lost it. Quinney had it. Bob Murray kind of sometimes had it, sometimes didn't. You've got to get the fans on board. And no, I don't like Ashley. Ashley, regardless of his relationship with the Mags, he's not a nice man. He's a businessman, I'll give him that. But football's a different type of business. I wouldn't have him in the house. No,
you wouldn't touch him, Gary. You definitely wouldn't touch him.
He'd maybe rename the stadium the Sports Direct Stadium of Light.
Oh God, that would be.
He'd sell anything, that bloke.
Anyway, we've spoke about a lot of the things off the field, but also, I want to bring this up because this guy was an absolute legend. It was confirmed by the club the other day that Kevin Ball obviously will be leaving the club. It's very sad, to be fair. I mean, he's been there best part of 3 decades. You could see he was there as a player from in the 90s, and he come back. He was. I think he worked in the academy. Then he was, I think, what was his other job? I think it was
overseas ambassador, wasn't it?
Ambassador, yeah. But look, I just want to, a few words on Kevin Ball. I'll start with you, Alex, and I'll come to you, Gary. But I think there was something on Twitter about Kevin Ball. What's your favourite ever moment with Kevin Ball? But at the club, what was your favourite ever moment?
That crunching slide tackle he did at St James's Park and smacked it off the crossbar.
That was mad. I said that on Twitter, the day I didn't know if you'd seen. I said that on Twitter. It was unbelievable because it was he smashed into Duncan Ferguson, clean Duncan Ferguson out, and not many people would have done this to Duncan Ferguson. The ball obviously hit the crossbar, as we know. But Duncan Ferguson, funny enough, gets up and looks who it is. And normally if it was somebody who would have probably grabbed them by the neck and went, what are you doing? He looked at their ball and just went, nah, no chance. And just got up and walked away.
I listened to a podcast with Vinnie Jones, and he said he was like one of the people he just wouldn't wouldn't mess with. Like if Ball's in your face, you just pipe down. I think.
He was.
I'll give you should I? I can give you a little bit of an exclusive if you want. Should I? Should I not?
Yeah. You got to now.
I've been told, Sean, by you know who,
that
it was one of the highest off the field paid members of staff. I'm not going to say the figure. I think that's a bit wrong to say.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that he was offered a few jobs in the academy that weren't right for him, and he didn't. He said no, which is fair enough. Kevin Ball is Kevin Ball, regardless of whether he's at the club or not. He will live a Sunderland legend, whether he's here, whether he's stacking shelves in Morrison's.
Absolutely,
he'll be a Sunderland legend through and through. It's a shame that he's gone, because obviously, as fans, we want the most people that care and get the club inside as much as possible. But it's a big chunk of money out of mine, and I think like Monty and that, the other ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they get paid nothing. Like I think they just get bait on a match day.
Yeah.
So he's very respected, and he had a crack at it, didn't he? With I think when oh God, my mind's gone blank. Now, who did we sack before Poyet came?
McCarthy.
No, and Di Canio as well. He had a couple of cracks at the caretaker role as well.
Yeah,
didn't he?
Yeah.
And I think the bloke himself, I think he really, really wanted it to go well, because I think he would have loved to have been a permanent dugout for us. Like, he's Mr. Sunderland, isn't he? And it's sad to see him go, but he'll always be a legend.
He will. I mean, I put a tweet out when I first found out he was leaving, and I've heard different stories. Like you see, I think I've heard this same thing where he's on a certain amount of money and he was offered half of what he's getting now, and he just basically turned it down. But I think I think his son was on Twitter the other day, put a tweet out, and he said that I think his dad's going to come out and see what happens. So that would be interesting to say the least. Won't it, Gary? I mean, obviously your opinions on Kevin Ball as a former player, your views on your best memories of him, your best ever memory of him, and what's your views on what's happened? Just if you can just go through that.
I might have chosen the St James's memory actually, because I was there and I was sat amongst the mags that night, and I had nearly swallowed my tongue when that ball nearly went in the net. It's like the thought of Bowley scoring an own goal in the derby. It nearly happened. I think there's one that keeps coming to mind. It's because it's been on the TV a lot. Is the diving header against Chelsea? I remember that. It was a really cold December day. It was on TV. Chelsea had just signed Zola, and it was the age when Premier League was spending big money. And there's Kevin Ball commanding the midfield. Like I said, cold day, dark. Some of the Chelsea players didn't want to know, and Bawley just ran the show, really, uncompromising, just everywhere. Get our lads up for it, and he scored a diving header on the back of a great performance. So that's one Bawley memory. I think the other thing that comes to me with Bawley is the amount of times over the years, and this is where it can't be a coincidence, you hear stories about Kevin Ball. And because I've got an autistic son myself, one of the things that sticks with me is a father of an autistic lad in Sunderland. Apparently, I can't remember it word for word, but he was in the street. He's having some kind of problem with his lad, persuading him to go one way or the other, and the lad's having a meltdown. And a car pulled up and offered to help. And it was some time later before it was realised that was Kevin Ball. Kevin Ball, complete stranger, having a really bad time with his disabled son.
Yeah.
A complete stranger stops to help, and that was Kevin Ball. Now, I can't verify that, but because I've heard similar stories over the years, the kind of myth grows that he's an immense human being. And he always came across like that. Just an assurance about Bawley. He didn't have to scream and shout. He had that presence, and the likes of Henderson coming out this week and talking about him praising him. Strange time to lose him. At the time, the club would actually do with some good PR. It's a strange time to lose him. But
I don't know if you've seen the tweet by Craig Russell from
No, I haven't actually.
He put a tweet up. Alex might have seen it, but he just says Cookie, me Cookie, and now Barley says Samson the
Samson next.
You want me watch what you're doing because you could be next. But like you see what I mean. Kevin Barley just epitomised everything what this club stands for me. He was hard as nails guy, and he fought for the shirt. He loved the club, and it'll be sad. It'll be sad seeing him go. I mean, I'd love to see him come back. I mean, he's just. I was in shock, to be fair, but you see some of the decisions what's been made over the last few months, last couple of years, in fact, and you think, well, is this something something going on? And it's just sad. I think it's sad. I mean, Kevin Barley he's a fan's favourite, and I'd like to see him come back, and I think he will. I think he'll come back once these have been told to leave or whatever, because these are not welcome at our club. Anyway, moving on, because we've been going quite a while now. MK Dons tomorrow. It's going to be a tough game. I'll come to you, Gary, first. MK Dons, I believe the third, I think.
They're third, yeah.
Yeah, we're just behind them. It's going to be a tough game, but are you confident for tomorrow? Alex Neil's first home game in charge?
On the back of recent performances, I can't be confident. The fact it's Connor Wickham coming back as well. I saw him score 2 for Palace against us on his first return. I'm convinced he'll score. When it comes to predictions, I always end up going for a 1-1 or 2-2, and it's because Sunderland being what they are, you don't know what you're going to get. I think there'll be a lot of pressure on the players tomorrow. I know our home form's been good, but I think we'll feel it. Hopefully Neil's got them organised, but on the back of our recent form, saying anything beyond a draw would just be daft speculation for me. At this moment in time, keeping them, within sight and taking a 1-1, I'd probably take that, as unambitious as it is. I can't see any better.
Yeah. So we're not confident at all, Gary.
To be honest, Sean, I never am. But at this moment in time, no, I'm not. I've just got to hope that Neil's got us organised. And if he is, then... But I can't see us beating them, because they're in great form and we're in awful form. And, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be putting money on something.
I'm thinking that new manager bounce. I'm thinking he's had a full week to train with them. I was expecting a performance at the last game, but that didn't happen. But maybe it's a delayed reaction, and they're going to perform tomorrow, and we'll put a show on for the home supporters.
We've got Burton on Tuesday night. That might be the point at which we start to see a difference, just because Burton are a lesser team. MK Dons are in really good form at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair comment. Alex, MK Dons tomorrow.
I was just looking at I looked at their last 5 before I came on, and I think they've won in the last 5. They've drew the last 2, won 3 before that, so they're unbeaten in 5.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough game, but this is where, if we're serious about promotion, this is where we've got to win. We've got to show that we're made for promotion. We've got to show that we're, I was going to say man enough. We use that term nowadays, but we've got to show that we've got enough about us to get promoted. It's a tough game. They've got some fantastic players. I mean, Scott Twine, what a player he is for this level. He's one to watch. Connor Wickham, I'm not too concerned about him. He'll probably go off injured after 2 minutes. I like their gaffer, Liam Manning. He was one of the ones that would have been on my list. Excuse me.
From Johnson.
Yeah, I like that sort of left field approach where he came from kind of nowhere, he's young, up and coming, wants to prove himself in the game, goes to MK Dons. Bit shaky start. His first game was against us, I think, and we edged it 2-1 down at their place early on in the season. And I think he's a good gaffer. I think, as I say, it's going to be a really tough game tomorrow. I was right last week when I said we would draw 1-1 away at Wimbledon. I'm going to say this week I think we'll beat them, mate. I do. I think this is where the the corner turns, if you like. I think Alex Neil, as you've said, Sean, he's had a full week with the players. I think he said before the Wimbledon game, he had 40 minutes with them before the travel.
Yeah.
Whereas he's had a full week. Well, we say full week. I think they only train about 3 days nowadays, footballers, don't they? He's had a full week with them. I don't think he needs to necessarily work on, ability, like doing things in the right areas. I think what he needs to work on is getting us back to doing the basics right.
Basics, yeah.
Getting a shape, solid, making us solid at the back, harder to beat, and we've got the quality up front. If we keep a clean, I know it's very Sam Allardyce, but if we keep a clean sheet, we're not going to lose the game, obviously. And we've got the players at the top end of the pitch. We've got Clark, you've got your Patrick Roberts, you've got your Alex Pritchard, who's class, by the way, Jermaine Defoe, Ross Stewart. We've got these players at the top of the pitch that if we can solidify ourselves enough at the back end of the pitch and keep the ball out of the goal, we've got every chance of putting it in their net with the home fans behind us. Alex Neil's first game. I think the lads are going to be up for it this week, and I think this is where we'll get our first win since Portsmouth, I think. Christ.
And that seems a million years away, doesn't it? But I don't know what it is. I'm confident for tomorrow. I think it's just the fact that it's Alex Neil's his first, obviously, home game in charge. Fingers crossed that it goes ahead, mine as well, because that Storm's obviously up there now. He's had a week to train with the team. Obviously, his methods will be drummed into them, which way he wants them to play. It's interesting to see which formation he plays as well, whether he goes 4-3-3 or if he does a 3 at the back. We don't know, but look, let's just get him off to a winning start. Let's get behind the team tomorrow, because obviously off the field, it's just that's what it's been all about, isn't it? Lately, it's been all the negative thing about the shares, who's got what. But ultimately, tomorrow, it's about the team we love, and the team that we're was wanting to get out of this division. And I think if we want to finish, if we've got any sort of, top two, we've got to start winning.
Exactly.
We're kind of it's 14 games left. We're going to probably have to win 12 of them. We've got to play Wigan, which is next Saturday, which I am going to that Wigan next Saturday. We have got to play Rotherham as well at home.
They're drawing together right now.
Are they?
Wigan Rotherham's 0-0 at the minute. Yeah.
I was just about to say they've kicked off a quarter, didn't they? Quarter yet. Nice. So that they're playing at the moment, but I'm confident now. Do you know what I'm going to go for? I'm going to go for 3-0 victory.
I was just about to say, with Alex's prediction, I was going to say, that's the optimism of youth. I don't know what to blame yours on.
I was thinking more of a conservative 1-0 or 2-1. Not.
I'm just ever the optimist, but I just think that with the week training, I think Alex Neil, let's get behind him, and hopefully, and just win, just get the feel good factor back, and just after the negativity we've had off the field this last few weeks, it's been crap, isn't it?
We need something, It
just defines your weekend as well. Someone get beat. It's just the weekend's crap, isn't it? But anyway, people in the live chat, let us know your scores. Patrick Ward says, tune into the lads, I hope. Keisha Cameron Jude says 3-0. Same scores mine. Keisha Cameron Jude. Black Cats Robert says Burton on Tuesday. 2 seconds. Put your scores in the live chat. I'll read them out.
Sean, can I just do something before you finish the live chat?
Yeah.
I need to finish off and go. Yeah, but I just want to do something first. It would have been Graeme Wright's birthday today. Red Leader Wright, former contributor to Fans React, an absolutely great guy. Anybody who ever met him would say that. And he also did a lot to help fellow Sunderland fans, for instance, with train tickets and that kind of stuff. So Graeme always liked to curry and he liked to beer. So I'm off to get me curry and celebrate Graeme's life and have a drink on his birthday. So if you don't mind, I'll drop off with that and I'll just say cheers to you all. Have a great weekend, and I hope your predictions are right, lads.
What curry you getting?
Homemade. So whatever's served up, I'll let you know.
Enjoy it.
I like to see it. Thanks for that, Gary. I did say with Graeme, he's obviously would he have been 46?
46, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, he was a big member of the channel. He sadly passed away a few months ago,
and he'd have had something to say about our owners this week as well.
He definitely would have had something to say. I still kind of believe that he's done another year. It's just it's so sad, but yeah.
So have a drink for him tonight.
Yeah.
I'll see you later, lads. Good to see you. Nice to chat, Alex. Take care.
Yeah, nice to meet you, mate.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, like you see, it's I'll just take right. Well, let's go to the live chat. The casual observer says Sean's been on the Rich Energy. I didn't come to that, but I will come to it now. I'll just come because we'll have a last 15-20 minutes, then we'll call it a thing. But William Storey is once again been seeing stuff on social media. Alex, I'll just try and find one of his tweets. He has done 2 tweets, but I'll just give us 2 seconds. The score predictions: Blackout Rover says 2-1 to Sunderland. Jake Pattinson says 3-1 to MK Dons. Ooh. Gordon Seymour says Connor Wickham. Is it Wickham? I think he says there. And 1-0 them, I think. He hopes not. LT27 says 2-0 to Sunderland. The casual observer says get Sean's pink shorts on. Both teams to score tomorrow. Right, 2 seconds. I want to get William Storey's tweets up. I'll read them out because I want to get your views on that. Because he has put a couple of tweets out lately, but
just whilst you're digging them out, I'll tell you what I am looking forward to tomorrow.
Your breakfast. No, your carvery.
The carvery, yeah. As well as that, what the pitch is going to look like. Because obviously this week they've been getting it done, haven't they? They've been getting that is it SIS hybrid turf put in. Yeah. Supposedly takes a week to seed.
To settle in. Yeah.
So we'll see how that looks, because I think Sean, if you look at the club and from at the top, I mean, if you haven't even got a pitch that's up to standard with the club's sort of I hate to use a Lee Johnson term, but philosophy and adhering to our standards, I think, well, it says everything you need to know, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah.
That pictures look shocking.
And anyway, just going to the William Storey thing, just finish off on this. And he said yesterday, or a couple of days ago, in light of the revelation yesterday, I will be submitting a new bid to purchase Sunday FC. The fans deserve better, as the club is being starved of investment and leadership. Lancashire in League One is unacceptable, and the position of current owners is untenable. That was his first thing. And he also put a picture of a Sunderland kit with Rich Energy on. He's got to get that one in. Rich Energy is obviously that's the company he owns. So that's his first tweet. And he did put a tweet today. I have made an approach to Madrox regarding their shares as a way to expedite a deal. My lawyers will be also submitting a formal offer for 100% of the shares next week. I'd like to thank my investors for backing my vision for Sunday FC and a club with a limited potential. So, Alex, what's your views on this William Storey thing? I've got to bring it up because everybody's sort of talking about it on Twitter. I didn't retweet that tweet, but what's your views on this guy? Do you think he's honest, or do you think it's a load of? Do you think it's a pie in the sky and he's just trying to build his brand?
I'll believe him. And what he says as soon as I see a can of his pop in the fridge at the supermarket, mate. You know what I mean?
Seeing that, you can get these drinks now because people are saying you can't get them in supermarkets. You can get them in certain shops, but I know you could get them in Herons a few months ago, but there were the dates on them there was a couple of months left in them, so they were probably going to run out of dates. So you sell them for cheap. But
is it nice? Like,
it's a nice drink. It's a nice drink, but it doesn't give you a kick like Red Bull gives you wings. It does give you a kick. This Rich Energy doesn't give you a kick, like, to be fair.
No, I think, mate, I think he's thriving off it. It's only benefiting him and his publicity. I know, obviously, you've interviewed the guy before and you've spoken to him in person. Yeah. From an exterior point of view, I think it's there to be seen. I think he ripped off that F1 team. Mm-hmm. He couldn't afford. Was it Haas?
Yeah, Haas. Yeah,
he had trouble with. He couldn't fund them. I think as well, Madrox in terms of a consortium doesn't exist anymore. It's just the 3 people that made up Madrox retaining shares. So I don't know how he's approaching the consortium. You know, I just think he's craving the publicity, mate, and people jump on it. You know, he could tweet anything about Sunderland, and people would jump on it because, you know, he was involved at a time where, you know, he was going up to Sunderland. He was at the Roca Hotel he was staying in.
Yeah,
he was at the Stadium of Light with a Sunderland top on, and people were thinking, oh, he might actually be serious here. But I think he's a clown, running his own circus, and people are buying tickets, mate. If I'm honest.
No, that's good. I mean, that's all about different opinions. I mean, like I say, I've interviewed the guy, and he shows some paperwork and he shows some of the investors. But like you say, you know, what do I know? I mean, there's only him what knows if he's telling the truth, and obviously the club. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I think all Sunderland fans, well, I would say most Sunderland fans would want KLD to do the rightful thing and just buy them free out. I think we just want to say the end of Mad Rocks, don't we, Alex? That's what us all want. Get rid of Sartori, get rid of Meffin, get rid of Stuart Donald. 100%. KLD having 100%. He's got plenty of backing behind him with his family. His family's multi-billionaires. His dad was, owned Marseille. That's the route I think we want to go down. But he's hanging about still. He's come back again after, so it's making you think what's going on.
As I say, all publicity is good publicity, mate. I think he's thriving off it. But in relation to what you've just said there about Sartori, Methven, Donald going, but my opinion, mate, I think if any of them are going to go, I think it'll be Methven and Donald. I think Sartori will still have his fingers in the pie.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. I totally agree with you, Alex. I think, but I'll settle for that because at least he gets rid of them too. And I mean, you got to think Sartori. What's he really said or done? He hasn't said anything about the fans. He hasn't really done much for the club, going forward. But in a financial sort of sense of it, and he allegedly got his shares for next to nothing. But
a quid apparently, wasn't it?
I don't know how true that is. But look, I think if KLD can buy them two out, Donald and Meffin, and them have gone, it gets rid of them too, and it just brings a better feeling amongst the place because,
of course,
as I said earlier on, the slight chance of seeing Methven anywhere at the games were done. It just makes all the Sunderland fans so angry after what he'd said. I mean, yes, he's his own person, and if he wants to go, he can go. But it's just the thing he said, and I think a lot of Sunderland fans will never ever forgive them too for what they've did as well, coming in lying. Playing for the club with the parachute payments, writing money off, seeing that way the part of the problem. Just these other things that just need to go. And I think once, fingers crossed, when KLD meets with the fans next week, and he can tell us that that's his ambitions to buy them out.
Yeah,
and we'll all move forward. To be fair, Alex.
Yeah, and they just say contradicting things, Sean. I mean, like he said in his statement that he released through the Athletic, Methven, he said, me nor Stuart want an active role in running the club. He said, well, why are you attending games then? If you don't, if you've got no interest in Sunderland other than retaining shares to make a profit, why are you attending games?
Exactly, mate. It's I just didn't get it, but I think we'll probably been through everything now, mate. I think we've been on for an hour and 25 minutes. Have you enjoyed yourself, Alex?
I have, mate. Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on Methven is I don't know if the people in the live chat have mentioned it from the notes that were released from the Red and White Army, but it was confirmed by Steve Davidson in the Red and White Army meeting minutes that Charlie Methven in fact had no involvement in the interview process for the head coach. First interviews were conducted by Stuart English, who's the head of coaching. Speaking was in there, and Dave Jones, the non-executive director, was involved in the interview process, and Kirill Louis Dreyfus was involved in the second and final interviews for that position. So I think that's good. For the fans have got clarity on that aspect. In in terms of Sartori, I think what he's been doing in the last 12 months, hasn't he been trying to run for president in Uruguay? That's where all of his
he's been trying that for a while.
Yeah. Whereas there was initial talk. I think there was even pictures with Methven and was it Stuart Harvey, head of recruitment. They were out in South America looking at Uruguayan clubs. And there was that the link. We almost bought one, didn't we? So KLD almost bought one as sort of like a feeder partnership, which fell through. Sartori, it was said when he came in, wasn't it, by Stuart Donald? So again, it's probably a load of bollocks. But it was said that he was he was going to take a more active role, didn't it? But we've been yet to see that. I think if I would settle for Louis Dreyfus, getting hold of Methven and Donald share, Sartori keeping his, because I think Sartori has a lot more to bring than the other two. I mean, the other two are a pair of skin insurance
con men,
whereas Sartori's father-in-law, owns Monaco. He's on the board at Monaco. He's clearly got money. I think if we had Sartori as more of that sort of silent investor with KLD running the show alongside Christian Speakman, I think that would be the best thing for the club going forward. I mean, a massive overhaul and change from top to bottom, Sean, with not just inclusive of William Storey. I mean, for anyone, unless it's some Abu Dhabi guru who's got all this money, I just think it would be damaging. I think the club has finally got an identity and a model that they want to follow. I think it's only fair that we give it a chance. I mean, didn't Christian Speakman said that it was a 4-window project? I think they've had 3 since he said that. So let's see.
Yeah, it's the project there, and I think you've just got to hope that it works out in the end. But only time will tell on that one. I just want to go to back to the live chat, just read some of the comments out, because I try and read them all. I try and read them all out. It's hard to read them all out, but I try my best. Nathan Broadhead, I did see it on Twitter. Nathan Broadhead was back in 10 days, but apparently Alex Neil said today that it's weeks rather than days. So he's been a big miss, hasn't he? Alex Broadhead, he was looking really good, wasn't he? Fantastic player. Again, if we go up, would he be one that the club would be interested in trying to turn into a permanent? Does his injury record sort of warrant that? Who knows? Let's read some of the comments. Patrick Watts, I think it would be a very bad move to have him as chairman. He'd rinse us. He wasn't a winner in Formula One. Just a transfer like the Three Amigos against us, Patrick Ward. And DJ Sizzler Watson says Wigan 1-0 up. That's who I got to go to the matches with. Dave Watson. Dave, hope you're all right. Got our tickets today.
That Dave the Rave? That Dave the Rave?
No, not Dave the Rave. No, Dave Watson. He's a DJ. He's had pubs, and he's canny. He's a good canny bloke. I got the matches with him quite a lot. But anyway, I think that's just about wraps everything up. We've been going for an hour and a half. I think Alex has been absolutely fantastic tonight. It's his second show now. I think we all agree Alex has been great last 2 shows. Give us your thoughts on Alex. Say what you think. Be nice. Be nice, though. Be nice.
Tell Matthew to send a contract.
Matthew and Paul's going to send the contract out when we need to get them signed up. But Alex, it's been great. Thanks for all the people what's tuned in. Don't forget tomorrow, as long as the game's ahead, goes ahead, and the weather's eased off, I'll be doing a live pre-match in the same place on the corner of the Hilton Hotel. I always stand there half an hour before. At 2 o'clock, it's normally 2 o'clock. So, like you say, if you want to come across and talk about the game, as long as it's going to go ahead,
I'll I'll be approaching the ground and just see a red cap going around the stadium and blowing around.
I think DJ Earths I think DJ, I'm not ignoring you. You did see a, can you unban? I'll have to get Paul and Matthew to have a look at that because I know you said to unban you. I'm not sure what the crack is there. I'll have a word with Matthew and Paul later on. I haven't banned you. I banned somebody earlier on because they were being offensive in the live chat, but I definitely haven't banned you. So I'll get them to sort it out. But like you see, thanks for everybody watching tuned in. I'm sure my mum's just been in there. I'll just have a little look. I think she has know where it was. Especially my mum's here somewhere. I would say, yeah, great show, lads. Some very interesting points. Yeah, I know it's went on a bit, but I think we've getting most of the things. We've discussed most things, and it was very short note as well because Johnny was supposed to be hosting the show, so it left me to pick other pieces, but it wasn't Johnny's fault. But
No,
anyway, like you see,
enjoyed it, mate. You've done really well.
Alex, it's been brilliant. Alex, thanks very much for coming on, mate. Have you enjoyed yourself,
I love it. Just talking Sunderland, sharing opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
And not just that. I mean, being on the receiving end of other people's opinions as well, because you've got your own sort of insight, and then somebody else says something, you go, well, actually, I see what you're coming from, and yeah, it's good. We all love Sunderland, mate. That's our purpose, isn't it?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. That's what we're all here for. But Gary K says, get Alex on again. I think unanimously, I think that's definitely going to happen. Alex wants to be part of the team. So, if it was my decision, it'd be on the team now. So we'll see. But like you say, Alex likes doing it, and we like having Alex on. So we'll see. But like you say, tomorrow. Don't forget to tune in for the pre-match show. Same time, same place. For myself, Sean Middleton, and Alex, who's been a great guest. See you guys tomorrow, and hopefully Alex Neil can get off to a winning start. Bye for now.